for the startup. We have 8 startups today. The format for the startup discussion is that the startup is going to give their solution showcase for 3 minutes, and post that, we're going to have 2 minutes to ask them relevant questions from the applicability of the solutions to the real life corporate challenges or the situations they are dealing with. Uh, I would want to request the CorpGini team to, allow the first startup to pitch. I think the first startup is Lalten. This is for the cause. They are doing this for a cause, and we wanted them to promote their cause on this platform. So, Lalten, over to you, and then we'll get into the technical startups. Uh, Ashok ji, I think you had some
Yeah,
time
Amit, I seek
restriction. Yeah.
permission from
Yeah.
my esteemed panel members and
Sure.
my regards to all the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, over to you, Manit. We can't hear you yet. So, yeah, Manit, we are not able to hear you. You're muted. Yeah, now you can talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, Manit, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Amit, for this opportunity. My company is called as Lalten, everyone. My name is Maneet. We are not a healthcare startup, but primarily we are a startup which is into B2B. We work with rural artisans across the country. We have a network of 1,800 artisans spread across 8 states. And this has been our journey over the last 2.5 months as we have been struggling with COVID-19 along with all of us. And a very interesting project of 1 million masks a month, which we're doing.
So, do you want to just talk about that more? Yeah.
Sure. So as a company, we work with around 300 retailers across 18 countries, supplying them handmade goods. But over the last 2.5 months has been very interesting for us. On March 22nd, as we entered into lockdown, our core products revenues fell to zero. So we immediately pulled in our teams to source COVID supplies. By 15th of April, we were doing it we started doing our first order. We did it for TTK Prestige. And by the end of April, we did a revenue of close to around 27 lakhs. These are primarily the goods which are 3-ply masks, PPE kits, as we were just acting like a trader and supplying these products from the real suppliers and not the traders and giving it to the buyers directly.
You'll have to change your screen.
Sorry?
We can't see the product, so you may want to change the screen.
Sure. So right now what we have been up to is that we have mapped around 1,200 artisans across 8 states. And the bigger problem for these artisans is that they're sitting on cancelled orders right now. So we have cancelled orders of fabrics which they have at their own clusters. And we have realized that the masks which we have been using is not that efficient in terms of the protection it provides. So what we have done is that we have reimagined the designs of the masks. We have used the fabrics which are lying across the clusters and as the secondary fabric of raw material, and the primarily fabric as a cotton, over the cotton as a coffee paper filter and a charcoal filter. So we have replaced this into a 3-ply mask and have been using the capabilities of our artisans to create these masks. Today, we are creating this mask across 6 states, in Ujjain, Guwahati, Sanganer, Gujarat, and in a couple of Telangana districts. These are some of the artisans who have been creating the masks for us. What we have been up to is that we have a network of close to 1,200 artisans, which are textile-led, who are making textile-led products. We have mapped close to 800 of them, which can have potential of making 50 masks per day, so that we can create 40,000 masks per day and a potential of over 1 million masks in a month. Today so this is our artisan network across the country, where we have mapped these artisans and number of cluster champions, a micro-entrepreneurial network through which we work. At present, as we are talking, we are creating close to 1 lakh masks in our own designs. with a network of 66 artisans who have been traditionally working with us to provide goods to Myntra, Fab Indias, and Anita Dongres. But now they have been creating these masks for public at large. The masks for public at large has not been very efficient actually, because they are 3-ply masks, they are non-reusable, they are non-eco-friendly as well. Moreover, they are not very efficient in terms of protecting and holding your core areas of mouth and nostrils. So that's what our accessory designers have built up in this mask. This is a phase, this project
So,
is in two phases.
sorry, I would want you to jump to the last part about what is the ask because for want of time. So, if you can just go on that, are these masks, as per the regulatory requirement, and what do you expect and urge audience here so that just kind of go with your call.
Sure, definitely, Amit. Thanks a lot for that. I think I'm looking for three things right now. We have a potential of sourcing 3-plies PPE kits, which are for the requirement for everyone, and that's what I'm looking here for in terms of your connects where we can do orders with healthcare startups or companies or pharmaceuticals where we can give these products. Second is in terms of promoting our cause of 1 million masks a month, wherein these masks are not for the frontline people, but for public at large. So if we can take this mask to people whom you would know, maybe state governments or people in UNICEF or WHO or World Bank, which are distributing this mask across the globe. So that's something which we are looking at. In terms of regulatory perspective, we are allowed to export this mask, which are cotton masks. So there's no hindrance in doing that from India. So on 16th of May, the government has allowed exporting these masks, which are cotton. And there is no such regulatory certifications required for these cotton masks because they are better.
Sorry. So I will just urge on your behalf to everyone that this startup is kind of gone from what they were doing as an original business to kind of creating and taking this as a mission. They are doing a lot of hard work from connecting. So all those 2,000 odd artisans from different states, if they are collaborating and coming together to do it, that's for a cost because the money I think is going to a large chunk of the money is going to these artisans who are there in need. And thank you for doing that work, Manita. And I would request anyone in the audience or in the panel members who would want to kind of look them up and support in this cause, please feel free to do it. Thanks a lot, Manita. I just want to ensure that we have enough time for all the startups. So thanks for the cause and keep doing the good work.
Sure. Thank you, Amit, for this opportunity. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thanks. Let's go to the next startups now. Now we'll jump to the healthcare startups, Ramanathan, Abhay, Sanjay, and Surinder. So we'll just kind of jump to the startups who are doing something in the healthcare sectors. So who we have next? Mir, who we have next? I think we can start with the third startup if the second one is not ready.
Hey, hi Amit, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hey, how are things?
So it's 3 minutes strictly, and then we'll do a Q&A. So just kind of stick.
I'd love to do that. Yes, I do understand. So first of all, thanks everyone for listening in. Thanks for this opportunity. So hey, I'm gonna start very quickly. We're Geometry, and we're a virtual reality training and learning and development platform. In the pharmaceutical sector or whichever sector, you've got large workforces which are spread across geographies, doing a variety of tasks, soft skills, and training in assembly lines, for example, among other things. The problem with conventional enterprise training is that it's expensive, non-engaging, and very, very boring, right? Like these are things that tend to happen, and thereby what happens is you get very low retention rates. It's also very tough to quantify the effectiveness of these training modules. And as much as everyone likes to say, how effective their training program is, that nothing beats on-the-job experience. So, it's actually when your medical representative will be in front of the doctor and having those conversations, that will be the first time that they'll be able to learn and understand these things. But virtual reality kind of bridges that gap. With this, we've been able to reach out to a variety of clients, and in the pharma sector, especially, we've got Abbott Pharmaceuticals, Indegene, among other people. What we can do is we can put you directly in front of, let's say, an uninterested doctor. If you're a medical representative, we can put you directly in front of an uninterested doctor, and they are just not interested in listening about a product. But it's the onus is on you to be able to reverse that. If you don't do the right things, you could end up making the doctor angry. And this is real-time feedback, voice recognition. So you'd be able to speak with this doctor, and then and then get feedback, negative or positive. Maybe if you do things right, you would be able to then successfully sell your product. We can also set up scenarios like, for example, how do you probe a pharmacist to know whether a doctor is prescribing a medicine or not, and several other scenarios. So that's on the soft skills training side, but we also have a very, very strong use case on the technical side where we can actually create a digital twin of your manufacturing facility. Now, what this means is exactly how your processes are happening in real life. Now, often, the people on the ground who are actually who are actually defining these processes, the management, which might be sitting in another location, doesn't have a very good understanding of what really happens on the ground. And SOPs, as we all know, get slightly tweaked here and there. So this is a platform that creates a twin or a replica of all of your processes in one place. And what if this could be the baseline for all of your employees to train and understand the different processes? It really takes retention rates up by a lot, by even 95% in some of the use cases that we've been working with. The future of learning and development is remote. Our experiences or these training modules work very simply on a browser and everywhere. So when I say virtual reality, please don't, it's not restricted to the headsets, of course. So it can happen on laptops, desktops, and pretty much everywhere on all devices. And again, this is something that saves a lot of cost. Just because training is typically an expensive mode, we can actually reduce the training time and training costs by up to 60%. So this is something that can be applied today. You can go live within a month and save up to 60% of your training costs. This is a direct cost saving that's available for everyone, each and every one of our clients. How do we do that? We give you a platform to create, publish, and track your training modules. The creation platform is so easy that your own managers, your own training device can just use the mobile phone to create these, to record the processes and just put it over there. It's a really, really simple toolkit to create these. You would be able to run this content everywhere, like you saw in the previous slide. And also we've got really good analytics, so you'd be able to go in and do that. So yes, I'm going to end very quickly, Amit, as you requested. You can help people cut their training budgets by 60%. Do go immersive today. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for this one question, which here that you mentioned that you've been doing work for some pharma companies like Abbott. What are you doing for them, and do you want to just describe that? How are they benefiting from the work which you're providing?
Absolutely. So what we do with Abbott Pharmaceuticals, for example, is we train medical representatives. Now, when a medical representative actually goes into the field, right, like they have to deal with the doctor who might not be so interested, or they want to understand the entire sales training process because it's a complex process. It's not so simple. I have to go to the pharmacist and probe the pharmacist, understand if the doctor is prescribing it or not. If the doctor, and then there are different types of doctors, right? Types of doctors who want to hear a more qualitative pitch versus types of doctors who want to kind of really zoom in and focus and discuss about their patients and learn more about the product in different ways. So how can you kind of understand through these virtual experiences how to deal with different types of doctors? So we put you into a simulation. You're actually going to a doctor, and it's a real simulation. It's short, right? So it feels very real. You can look into the doctor's eyes and have that kind of pressure that you would typically face when you're facing that, and then you'd be able to kind of act to this. So these are training modules for their medical representatives as well. But within the pharma industry, we're also doing a lot of work for clients where we actually have the entire manufacturing process kind of coming in and working. So the entire manufacturing process also has a lot of SOPs and more in the in the pharma space. These SOPs are very, very precise, very defined, and everybody needs to know them more for even regulate, more from a regulatory perspective as well. So we have to ensure, and this is a training and assessment board.
Can you hear me? Sorry. So
Loud
2
and clear.
points. You
Yes.
mentioned you helping the companies in training the employees, and you're helping the companies in also creating a digital twin of their manufacturing facilities so that they can run and understand the entire processes,
Absolutely.
setting virtually. So those are the two
Absolutely.
kind of things you're doing
Absolutely. So
it.
the digital twin is a very good, of course, for training, but even beyond training, like for people who are not at the facility to actually understand how the processes are happening, to be able to improve them further and to be able to do those things. Those are things that can, that we're also offering for this, for the pharma industry at large.
Wow.
That's right.
Thank you. So, is
Thanks
there
so
any
much.
other
Thanks.
question which we have? Otherwise, we'll move to the next one. Sure. We'll move
Thanks
to
so
the
much.
next one. So who we have next, Ram?
Yeah, Space Founder is pitching next.
Hi, Ram.
Hi, Amit. Hi, everyone.
This is for cutting edge technology, so I want the panelists who are technical to be kind of paying more attention to. Yeah, Ram, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ram Prasad Gandhi Raman. I'm founder and CEO of Space Foundry. So we are a hardware startup here in Silicon Valley. We are a NASA spin-off. I used to work there, and then I started this company. Amit has been advising us. So we are funded by NASA and NSF, have 6 patents pending. And our primary business is in equipment sales around a technology called atmospheric pressure plasma. So the plasma here for all the bio guys, it's not the blood plasma. This is a highly ionized gaseous plasma, which is completely different from your blood plasma. So far we have been actually, our primary business, as I said, has been around equipment sales, using this, that relies on atmospheric plasma for printed electronics applications. And in the recent past, we have been trying to use our core technology for some of these COVID-related causes, because I worked on this technology for sterilizing space mission related science tools at NASA earlier. And then
Ram,
I said,
sorry,
okay.
if you're sharing anything on the screen, we are not able to see the screen because we just have this fast. Just to let you know, if you're doing that, then just kind of do that as well.
Oh, you don't see my screen?
No,
Not
we do
full.
see.
Yeah. Now we
No,
can.
it's okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead with the presentation.
Yes. Yes. So we are actually developing couple of solutions using our core technology. One is sterilizing air and floor, and the other one is sterilizing ventilator circuits. Regarding the air and the floor thing, basically, these contagious wards in the hospitals have restricted entry, and the floors are never cleaned. These SARS-CoV-2 virus, which are aerosolized when a patient coughs, it actually stays in the air for few hours before settling down on the floor. And it becomes like some of the studies done by, I've been part of this COVID innovation groups run by Massachusetts General Hospital and Harvard jointly. So they figured out that floors are highly contagious, and the shoes are something that has been completely overlooked. So there is a need for taking care of the surface-bound contaminations. And this also has wide applications in airports and restaurants, food processing places, and things like that. So you all might be familiar with this vacuum cleaner called Roomba, which basically an autonomous vacuum cleaner. So we are kind of looking at developing a similar concept for microbial cleaning using our core atmospheric plasma technology. And the second,
just concluding next 1 minute. So I want to be a little strict on the time. Sorry for being the bad guy out here, but just want to make sure that we. So
sure. And this. Sure. And the second thing that we are working on is on the ventilator circuits. Basically, these ventilator tubes are critical and face a global shortage, and they also have biofilm formation happens there. And in general, these ventilator circuits need to be replaced every 24 hours, but because of all this pandemic situation, they are never replaced that easily. And so we are developing this plasma solution that can enable reusing of these ventilator circuits using our core technology. And the other one, as I said, is the Roomba type thing.
your screen, so you have to work on the screen part. But
Sure.
we got the gist of it. So what you're doing is that the plasma technology which you have, we will be able to use that same core technology to clean the floors and the ventilators. That's a
That is right.
primary you're doing from that perspective. So,
Right.
so do we have any questions from the panel for Ram? If not, then we will just move to the next startup.
Capital equipment type of a model or as a service model?
Currently capital equipment.
And Ram, this technology has been sourced through NASA, right? So you have all the IP protection. I know that, but I just want to clarify for the
Yes.
audience,
Yes,
right?
that is right. Yeah, we have exclusive IP rights. Yes.
And you
And
have,
Ram, have you are you providing service to any hospital right now with
Not
this
yet. We
technology?
are not yet. We are working on it. Actually, we are in the process of getting this autonomous system. Getting into MVP first, and then within the next 3 months, we want to have a system at the hospital.
All right.
thank you, Ram.
Thanks.
Who we have next?
This canostics.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can everyone hear me just fine?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect, thank you. Just give me a second to share my screen. Okay. Thanks again for having us. It's a great honor to speak in such a selected audience. My name is Thaddeus, and I'm the founder of Canostics. Canostics is an early stage startup with the single goal to beat cancer by just detecting it early enough to easily cure it. Our journey began approximately 1.5 years ago, and today we are situated in Berlin, Germany, and Bhubaneswar, Orissa, and are just about to start our first large-scale clinical study to further develop our test and bring it to market in about 2 to 3 years from now. Let's have a quick look at the massively growing cancer issue worldwide. So today we have more than 10 million cancer deaths each year, with a staggering increase of 68% that is estimated till 2030. And the problem with cancer specifically is that it's such an insidious disease. The symptoms mostly occur in a late stage. And as we can see on the left-hand side, the early diagnosis is pivotal in this disease, because if you diagnose a cancer, and this is just an example of lung cancer, in stage 1, you have a 93% survival rate after 5 years. Coming to the late stages, stage 4, this survival chance is up to 10 times lower. So it's really the most essential thing to catch the disease early. Of these 10 million deaths I just mentioned, half of them can purely be ascribed to a late diagnosis. And the issue that we are facing is that only 3% of cancers that exist out of the more than 120 types have available early detection tests. And that is colorectal cancer, breast cancer, and cervical cancer. And for all the other cancers, there's no really chance to catch the disease early. So this is exactly where we want to change the situation for everyone worldwide. We want to build a super simple multi-cancer early detection test that is very fast, very affordable, and especially accessible. We are doing this with a unique diagnostic approach where we combine spectroscopy, which is a laser-based measurement technique that can even measure the most minuscule concentrations. And we're combining this with artificial intelligence, machine learning, especially to sort through the data. So what we are doing is we are taking a simple plasma sample from a patient. We're analyzing it with commercially available spectroscopy hardware, thereby registering millions of chemical components in the blood at the same time. And then we are sorting through this data and analyzing it with artificial intelligence. The great benefit of this is that this is completely automated and does not need a medical specialist in order to make the diagnosis. So therefore it can be spread out everywhere, even in the most rural areas. And the hardware that we are using can be very small, just the size of a shoebox, weighs about 7 kilos. This technique has been tested worldwide in many proof of concept studies by us as well in Berlin. with the Charité, and has shown on over 5,000 patients and for over 15 kinds of cancer that this is a very viable approach with average accuracy of around 90%. So we have a really great multidisciplinary team from medical doctors, biochemists, medical physicists, and data scientists. And we are working with very strong partners. In India, for example, we are working together with AIIMS and NICE. NICE, you might not necessarily know, it's an equivalent of the IIT in Orissa. And as I said, we're just about to start the first clinical study. So we want to bring this to the market in a way that we are placing the devices in labs that are mostly spread all over the country, and that we are engaging in the medical camps that are already happening all over your country, in the rural areas especially, doing some educational work, sending phlebotomists to collect the blood samples, and then get them back to the lab where the tests are run. The test fee, which will be less than 400 rupees for sure, will go directly to us, and we are giving the labs and clinics that run the tests for us a commission of that. So just quickly to the timeline and why we are here actually also. We are just to start the first clinical study with 4,000 patients to train our machine learning algorithm. This needs a lot of data. And then with that, going forward, being able to diagnose the 5 most common cancers, we'll engage in a prototype development and a clinical evaluation to bring it to market in about 2.5 to 3 years. We have done a proof of concept. This technology is very promising. It works great. We have established all the clinical and research collaborations that are necessary for the development. And currently we're raising a seed round of about 1 million euros, which equals roughly 7 crores. And my ask to this audience of veteran healthcare experts would be like especially about the business model. Like, how do you think, what is the most viable option to roll it out in India to make sure that this product can reach everyone in the end? Not only the elite in the cities, but also really like in the villages where the access to healthcare at the moment is a little bit problematic, so that everyone has the chance to catch disease early, get the best chance of survival, and at the same time cut the treatment costs by over 50%, which will be a very great thing for the healthcare system.
Thanks.
So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
For your pitch. And Surinder, do you have any specific?
Yeah, just one quick question. You mentioned about the type of tumors. Does it take care of only the solid tumors or even the hematological cancers as well?
We are currently focused on exclusively the solid tumors. Our technology is great to register minuscule changes in the biochemical ratios in the blood that are exuded by the solid tumors. Like we are targeting to detect the tumor before any other test.
Okay, and one more question. Now you mentioned that you are doing the clinical studies, or you have done a proof of concept studies. So in terms of specificity and sensitivity, how many tumors have you put in, and what was the kind of proof of principle result?
So we have put in a range of gastrointestinal tumors so far, meaning stomach cancer, colon cancer, rectal cancer mostly. There are also a few liver cancer patients in there, and the accuracy was over 95%.
95%.
And we are our goal is really to focus on the sensitivity. We want to detect everyone that has the cancer, because this is meant as a screening test. So after our test is done and it might be positive, you will always do a confirmation test, like an imaging method with a biopsy, a gold standard.
Any false positives?
So far not, but the population was very small that we did in a proof of concept, only 30 patients.
Okay.
So this is why we want to do 4,000 patients in the next step to really show that this is valid with statistically significant.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Who we have next?
We have cutting edge.
Cutting edge. Can you, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Let me share my screen.
Just kind of restrict yourself to 3 minutes, come to the conclusion
Yeah,
so that
sure.
it will you get the right questions as well. Yeah.
Sure. So, are you getting my presentation?
No.
Oh, not yet.
Um, Sorry. Is it now available?
No.
Not yet.
Just made some technical glitch. Yeah, it's now. Is it now available?
No,
No.
not yet.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Just a minute.
No
Is it
worries.
now?
Don't.
Keep talking.
You can keep talking. No worries. You can talk about.
Yeah.
What
Okay. Okay. I'm just a minute. Let me come back to the video. I'm here. What's happening? Can I
No
have
worries.
it
So
after this? Can I have this presentation after the next one?
yeah, no
I
worries.
don't know.
Just go to your technology. We'll move to the next one, and then we'll come back
Yes.
to you. No worries.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Pankaj Parashar. I'm the founder of Cutting Edge Medical Devices. We are a medtech startup company hailing from IIT Delhi. We have been supported by BIRAC and Millennium Alliance from FICCI and have won more than 17 national and international level awards. The problem we are addressing is for early detection of kidney diseases. And the reason being that more than 7.6 crore patients in India are suffering from diabetes and 22.6 crores of hypertensive patients. And all these are vulnerable to kidney diseases. And every year, there are more than 3 crore pregnancies that need to be monitored regularly for a detection of high-risk pregnancies. And the experts agree that microalbumin estimation is the key test for a early diagnosis. But why is this test so much underrated? The reason being, presently the test is done on highly sophisticated autoanalyzers, which are available only in big path labs, and hence has a restricted access. And the other thing is very costly, because the test to the lab itself costs around 300 rupees, so it reflects to a very high cost to the patient. And on the other sides, everywhere else, we have these dipsticks, which are highly inaccurate and have a high threshold of detection, making early detection almost impossible. So we bring to you a portable solution in the form of this device, Sentiglo. It's a smart point-of-care diagnostic device for early detection of kidney diseases by quantitative estimation of proteins in urine, especially in the range of microalbuminuria, that is 2 milligrams to 20 milligrams. We detect from 2 to 100 milligrams of proteins in urine. It's not a dipstick-based test. You just need to take 2 ml of urine in this disposable cuvette, add our reagent, and put it in the device, and you instantaneously get results. It's based on nephrometry, and it's a great device for screening, diagnosing, and monitoring. We are trying to make Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we are creating clean data. As just in this panel discussion we had, where there is a need of clean data for our healthcare, and this device could help us create clean data for AI applications. This device has been validated on more than 6,500 patients across various institutes like AIIMS, New Delhi, and Medical College Indore, and NABL accredited labs. So there are consumables that have shown with that. And in comparison, when we see with the competition outside, the device is low in cost, but higher in accuracy than the existing products from Siemens or HemoQ or Micral strips from Roche. Others are all strip-based. We are non-strip-based. The device is great for the clinics and the clinicians' offices, small and medium-sized path labs that are 350,000 path labs in India. Governments, especially this test is now brought to the level of primary health centers also by the latest amendments in the free diagnostic policy. It's great for pharmaceutical companies for their research, clinical trials, and camp activities. Now, as you want the devices to go to the patients for clinical data collection. It's great for telemedicine companies, and we are working on a home healthcare version of the device also. The traditional sales and sales of the device and consumables is a strategy, and also with that, since it's a telemedicine enabled device, it can be controlled remotely, and hence we can work on a post-paid model for a pay-per test like your phones. We already just launched the product before the lockdown and have 12 customers right now and 14 orders to be serviced. And we had been awarded well around. So we are working hard so that patients can live healthier and longer. So we need your help so that in this journey to make this world a better place. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Pankaj Parashar. from Cutting Edge Medical Devices Private Limited. Our website is www.cemd.in. cemd.in.
Dr. Pankaj, that's a nice presentation. I mean, despite
Thank
the
you very much.
I appreciate your one question.
Yeah.
How is the business model, right? Do the labs purchase this, or are you having a different business model to give them? Are you just selling them, or what is the business model for reaching to the pan-India level?
Yes, sir. So right now we had just started selling. Before the lockdown, we had around 15, 20 days of business. So we had around 12 devices sold along with the consumable supply. But during the lockdown, we have pivoted along with the traditional sales and of the device and the consumables. We also have an option of because now the device is technically more advanced. So device could be given on lease for the labs and would be charged only for the test, because the upfront cost of the device could be shedded off from the buyers, and that is the labs, small labs and clinicians' offices. So that's what we are doing. So you just have to pay 130 rupees per test for the test you do, and you will be billed at the end of the month.
You mentioned that you have done a lot of research with some of the partners. So on the accuracy level, how do you compare it to the devices which are provided by Siemens? And is there any kind of a third-party validation done, or some data to throw there?
Yes,
Ramanathan, please cover on questions is that. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So the clinical validation was done at AIIMS New Delhi. It was a study where the samples of the patients coming into the lab medicine departments were compared with the autoanalyzers available with them, and the strips were compared. So we had an accuracy. The autoanalyzer is 100% accurate. Our device was around 97% accurate, 96%, and the strips were again 65% as matching to the literature what it says. So we are as good as more than 95% accurate in comparison to the autoanalyzer, which is the industry gold standard, very costly test to perform, but still, that's what we did. Then the other option we did was with ICMR labs at Medical College Indore. So again, there also 1,000 samples were tested. This validation was done by the support from FICCI Millennium Alliance, and again, we got a 96%+ accuracy and diagnosed some hidden cases of pregnancy-induced hypertension, which were having proteins in urine. That was a finding that we had.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. A quick question.
Yes, sir.
In terms of regulatory approvals, so what is the approval you have got for this for the device?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it's the class B medical device, in vitro diagnostic device as per CDSU classification. So we had gone through a CDSU regulatory clearance, got the test license, performed a clinical validation here with a private hospital with NABL lab doing the test for us, and done that. After that, the state licensing authority has given us the approval for that. So that's what we have gone through.
What about outside of India? What about is it CE marked?
No, sir. Quality assurance, this is ISO 13485 certified. We are in the process of CE certification. CE marking is a costly affair, and right now we are looking for funds as well as for markets. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Two quick questions. Where are you manufacturing the device?
Sir, we are based out of Indore, and we have a rented premises over here. We outsource the major, like the PCB manufacturing and the plastic parts manufacturing, and we assemble and test and calibrate our device in our own facility.
Okay. How much of funding are you looking at?
So right now the funding is around $1 million, that is 7.5 crore rupees, for rapid expansion in India, and going some options like outside India where we can go with the similar quality assurance and more lenient regulatory requirements. That's what initially we have India as a mark where we want to go into, and we have made more of a home healthcare version also during this lockdown since our team was working, so that like now all the panelists said that now is the time when patients would require home healthcare to be more smart. So this device in a miniaturized home healthcare format could help the patients and the doctors work well. That's what we need rapidly money for.
Thank you.
One last question. It's a very interesting phase.
Thank you,
interesting solution that you're working on. Can you talk a little about the innovation element in the whole product?
Sure, sir. So the innovation part is that the test has been, the first thing is the test has been standardized over a period of time for time, time duration, the process of the reaction with the reagent and the urine proteins, and has been fine-tuned with the hardware to read that process entirely. Then the data is stored on the device as well as comes to a smartphone or a computer wirelessly. And then we are working on creating a server space where the data could be secured and used and retrieved for future use by doctors and healthcare providers. So that's what we are doing. Once we have this data available with us, so we are planning to have more of a predictive healthcare options into this, so that when we go to a bottom of the pyramid line, like a primary health center or for rural.
Sorry, I will stop you here because I need to go to the next things. We got the answer, but I think Ramanathan was looking for another question. But Ramanathan, we can take that question offline.
Take it offline, yeah. We'll connect it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Who we have next, Mir?
We have
more.
Disclosure,
Okay.
We are an investor and I am a nominee, board nominee of this organization. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for telling that.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Adarsh. I'm the founder of Indra Systems, and I'll quickly take you through what we're doing. Essentially, are you able to see my presentation?
Yeah, we can see that.
Perfect. So yes, so we are into our vision is to actually save lives through early detection of critical illnesses, okay. So the way we are setting out to achieve that vision is through what we call as computational pathology, and we are proud to say that this entire platform has been designed in India with the context of India in mind, but of course our larger vision is also take it to outside and make it relevant for the entire world as well. The problem that we kind of all of us understand, especially with the current pandemic scenario, is that there is an acute shortage of health professionals, and of course one of the main issues with that, it drives up the cost of healthcare. Limited accessibility has a direct bearing on the cost. Now, what has happened in India by far, and I'm sure many of us now know because of the context that we are in today, is that by and large, India imports about anywhere between 70 to 80% of our medical devices from outside. Now, the problem with this is they were designed for an entirely different context. Unfortunately, we are importing them and force fitting them into the context that we are in India and many of the developing countries. So therefore, they don't work as optimally as they should. They've been designed for large centralized healthcare systems, whereas the need of countries like India is we need more decentralized systems, right? So specifically talking about what we are doing, we know that the number of health professionals are very low, and therefore that also is reflected in the number of pathologists that are available to one way or the other give a confirmatory diagnosis of many of these current critical illnesses. So what we've come, our belief is that the solution to this problem is to actually design point of care systems as opposed to the centralized healthcare systems that we have to deal with today, right? And therefore make that more relevant to the current demographics that we have. So what we've designed is a computational pathology platform. Of course, we've applied for patents in multiple geographies. Some geographies we've already got the patents and they are awaited in multiple other geographies as well. So through this platform, we are hoping to we have achieved the automation for higher throughput and quality. And we are leveraging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, superior mechatronics, and state-of-the-art systems to kind of get that going. So in terms of what are the benefits of this is, because it is digital, it allows us to function as a virtual system. Telepathology becomes a possibility. So we are using AI to do the initial screening, and pathologists sitting anywhere in the world can then take up what the machine has initially told and kind of either confirm or amend that reading. And then all of this turnaround time happens in very quick time. This is a way we can democratize some of the healthcare aspects, right? So with this technology and platform in place, the first condition we are looking at is cervical cancer. pretty disturbing numbers because India happens to be the world capital for cervical cancer, with one woman dying every 7 minutes. Globally, that happens every 2 minutes. So it's a pretty large cancer condition that we are looking at. So for the specific product that leverages our platform is called Servastra. The entire result can be under an hour compared to what happens today, anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks that it takes for a sample collected at the point of care to the point where a report has gone back to that lady. So all of that is completely now short-circuited, and the result is available within an hour. So we are, in terms of quality, we are a 13485 certified company, and our
we can read. We can read what you mentioned. So maybe you may want to jump to the next slide so that you can finish your.
So in terms of the components, it's a multi-component platform comprising of both hardware and software. There are all of this is benchtop, can go to a primary health center, right? So I think I kind of explained this as well. So I'll quickly run through, who are the target segments that we're looking at. We're looking at gynecology clinics who today just act as pipelines to larger healthcare facilities. And they, we believe, are the first entry point to make a big contribution in the way cervical cancer is handled, because they have opportunistic screening possibilities. So I'll just skip through all of these things, but our support is a special word for them. We've been supported by many of these organizations. Of course, Ram mentioned, Bilbro has been one of our early supporters. We've also been supported by the Indian governments through BIRAC and other programs. We've also been supported by US ISDF. I will just quickly skim through all of these things, but our ask is about, we are also looking at raising a seed fund of about $1 million. We've already raised close to $1 million through other funding, mostly non-dilutive. The idea is that right now we are in the pre-launch stage, and that's where the funds that we are looking to raise will be utilized for. We have a well-balanced team across all multiple areas. Our advisors are also kind of very specialized in multiple fields. This has been our journey, and a few words from our customers, and that's about it from my side. Happy to take questions.
So one quick question from my side. You said you are a hardware software mix, right? So what does that mean for a lab? I mean, a lab is taking a hardware from buying a hardware or sourcing a hardware from you, and then the data puts into it, and it will be a centralized. I mean, you're saying it is a decentralized thing, but I'm saying the collection would be decentralized, but the research or the computation would be done centralized. Do you want to kind of?
So this is an edge device, so it is completely decentralized. You are right. The hardware components will sit in either the gynecologist clinic or a small lab anywhere, and the first level of analysis happens at the edge. So right, wherever it is placed, it happens. The data is only pushed onto a telepathology platform for a legal sign off from a pathologist. Sorry. Right. So essentially, it's two phases. The initial call out, more of a screening call out, happens at the edge, and then the pathologist pitches in terms of confirming or amending the finding of the edge device.
Got it.
Hi, Adarsh, I had one question for you. This is Nilesh.
Hi, Nilesh.
Are we following the same process? I know we were chatting on LinkedIn just yesterday. Yeah. The question is, are you changing the last mile process, or is this tool going to actually augment or help reduce the cost for the last mile? Because 50% of the cost is just around the pathologist collecting these samples, right?
Right. So two things, Nilesh, if I may put. What we're doing is we're automating the entire process of wherever a lot of logistics, sample collection, movement of sample from one point to another. All of that is taken care of, right? And then we also digitize it, making it available for the pathologist to report anywhere, anytime, right? So especially in times like this, when there's a lot of apprehension of going and sitting in labs come into play, something which allows them to work from home changes the paradigm completely. So essentially,
one last question. Are we still using the pap smear versus the LBC? Which process are you using?
I mean, so we are agnostic. We can use both. So essentially understanding the way the Indian market works, we know the lion's share is with pap smears.
Right.
So we started with pap smears, but since that's a more difficult problem to handle, LBCs are much easier compared to pap smears. So we handle both.
Good.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thanks, I think we have a couple of last startup.
Next is EMU.
Okay.
Yeah, hi gigs. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Varun, and we are a fintech startup which is trying to focus on saving the operational cost of the hospitals, hospital mediclaim or TPA desk department, which is a kind of revenue generation department for them. So we have devised some methods along with IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, which you might know the best management institute in India and one of the best in the world, to help the hospitals saving their operational costs. And how do we do it? We try to connect the patients, insurers, and the hospitals in a secured line through which the data could be shared and managed efficiently. So this is the whole claim cycle which any hospital, big or small, has if they are processing the claims for their patients. So we handle every aspect of it, be the claims coming in through reimbursement or the cashless. We handle every kind of claim, and then we help the hospital people to automate the process to have the minimized intervention through the people or manual interventions to automate the whole journey or to make the whole journey in a digital manner. So we start from, let's say, claim management and finish it up till the settlement part when the money comes from the insurer to the hospital, and then the whole reconciliation part happens at the hospital end. We focus on the deductions as well, where the hospital come to know that how much deductions they are having with each of the insurers. Then they can talk to the insurers and they get it handled at their next meetings. How we have, I will tell you what is the current process of processing the claims between the hospital and the insurers. We have which is processing everything and having the continuous communication with the insurers in the paper and format, where they have to just upload the documents and process it.
Sorry, your voice is echoing a lot. Maybe you may want. Your voice is echoing a lot, so you may want to stop and just talk. It might work. Sorry.
Is it clear now?
Yeah, you can continue.
You can continue. Go ahead.
Okay, so what do I mean by digitization, or how do we digitize it? We integrate with the hospital different segments, where you can see that this is the hospital ERP. We have different segments, maybe telemedicine, maybe patient registration, appointments, billing. We integrate with this data and try to process it instead of people making any kind of claims for the insurer. This is digitized system which is making the claims for the insurer. So every stakeholder in this particular process is benefited by the digitization, be it insurer, hospital, or the patients. We try to reduce the operation cost of the hospitals by 80%, maximum of 80% we have saved for the small hospitals. We cover every insurer. No documents have been ever missed through our system if they have to be sent from the hospital to the insurer, and vice versa. There will be no defects of the billing, as if there are hospital members, they would be knowing that there are always continuous communication between them for the billing errors. You would be more efficient in following the SLAs which you have defined with the insurers. How do we do it? As of now, hospital is, let's say, having this cost overheads, fighting follow-up, accounting, courier settlement. with the insurance company, and each and every insurance companies, we have as of now 23 insurer companies and 40 TPAs. So when we come into the picture, the system will take over all these cost overheads, and yes, the hospital will be benefited. Yeah, insurer is also going to benefit by this kind of data. So how do we implement it?
So we'll go to the last part. Sorry for want of time. We want to go to your. Do you have any existing customers for which hospitals which you are doing?
Yes.
Do that.
Yeah.
That would help rather than getting into
Yes.
the process.
So yes. So as of now, we have few customers who are using the system, and we have few implementations which are happening. So these are our customers, some big and small hospitals, and these are the big hospitals in Delhi which are currently in discussion or implementing. Max is implementing it. Fortis is in discussion for the implementation of such kind of system, and Vedanta have just started the discussion. So yes, this is the kind of analytics report we generate with the kind of data we have as of now. Sorry.
So there is a lot of echo, so I just wanted to restrict. So you may want to switch off your presentation and you may ask one or two questions to me. So just stop sharing your screen.
Sorry, I'm not able to.
Stop sharing your screen.
I'm sharing my screen.
Can you stop sharing your screen?
Hello?
Mir, can you stop his screen share so that
Okay. Okay.
So, can you hear us now?
Yes, yes, yes. Now loud and clear.
Yeah, so I think there was some software issue. So what the gist of what you're doing? Just wanted to understand one question: is that are you integrating?
There is some echo going on. Is anyone connected with any devices?
Maybe he himself is connected to the devices. I think he is done though. Hello, I think you have two multiple devices. I think so we go to the last startup. Sorry, and we'll come to the question. If you have any specific question for him? No. Sorry. Thank you. And if you have any specific question for the audience. Do we jump onto the last startup? I think we had a big day today.
The last startup is also facing some issue. So I'm just playing one video pitch for them, which is of only 1 minute, and then we can close the session.
Okay, so we'll give it that 1 minute for him. No worries. So we'll Sanjay, Surinder, Ramanathan, just bear.
That's okay.
No problem.
Go ahead. Play the screen if you want.
Can you all see the screen properly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to summarize, they are working on a new age prosthetics where you can feel. I think they have done a lot of R&D and a lot of work in ensuring that people who are using their prosthetics can feel. So I think if anyone in the audience and in the panel who want to get into this stream and want to learn more about robobionics, we will be sharing sharing to all the participants as well as the panelists of all the data about all the startups, so you can reach out to them also and understand. Sorry, you were not able to log in, but I think I have passed on enough message for the audience to come back if they are interested. With that, I think we will conclude this discussion. I think it was a great discussion. Thanks to each and every one of you to be here on the panel discussion and staying for the startups. All the startups presenting, they are doing some really innovation. We were talking about innovation in the earlier part of the panel discussion, but they are doing some, some real innovation. And I think as a medical fraternity, if we can come together to see and help the startups, I think that would be of a great help. There are a couple of platforms out here in the US, particularly one platform which is called Angel MD, which is a platform only to fund medical startups. So even the startups who are there, if you think that you have a potential to kind of raise money, and it's an angel network only to fund startups. The CEO of the platform is a close friend of mine. So even if you think that there is something which you want to push, feel free to write it to me. I'll be able to kind of circulate your decks and presentations to them. And if they think that it is a relevant solution, this is a network of some, I think 3,000 plus medical practitioners across North America who've been looking at solutions to invest in those startups. So if you are a healthcare startup, that's a right platform for you. And I think Sanjay is also working with a couple of platforms to look at investments. So Nilesh has invested in 30 plus startups, and a lot of his startups are healthcare startups. So feel free to reach out to us, even if you think that we can be of any help from an investment or any link or connections. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank the panel, and have a good, fantastic weekend. Part of the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Nilesh.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.